Rodgers and Joe Flacco are set to become just the second pair of 40-year-old opposing quarterbacks to start against one another in NFL history. The Steelers sit at 4-1 and are the favorites to win the division at -160. The Ravens have only one win this season, but have the second shortest odds to win the AFC North, the Bengals and Browns being long shots. What's on the line for the Steelers tonight? That is the question. Who needs to have a bigger game, DK Metcalf or Jamar Chase? Who is it?
I'm going to say DK Metcalf, and it's because the Steelers and the way that they've built their pass game, it's a little bit, I've called it like creatively cautious, where they'll move Rodgers a little bit, but it's, hey, DK, we want to get the ball into your hands, and so they run kind of traditionally, historically, like simple concepts. He leads the NFL in yards after the catch, 224 yards after the catch with wide receiver, or DK one-on-one. And then it's a little bit like Rodgers, move the pocket, play action, find the tight end. And so as great as Jamar is, the Steelers, and I see why they make the trade, because there's so much of DK, go be the focal point of the pass game, go dominate, which he has done, and then our offense has rhythm, it has big play explosiveness to it. I say DK Metcalf.
What about you, RC?
Now, I say Jamar Chase, and I think when you think about DK Metcalf, you're thinking of the entire picture, right? How does DK Metcalf playing well in this game sort of push the Pittsburgh Steelers forward as we're talking about this AFC North picture? But if you watch the second half against the Green Bay Packers, Jamar Chase was everywhere. Jamar Chase felt like the Triple Crown winner. There were 3 separate occasions where we watched him go one-on-one and Joe Flacco just give him a chance to make plays, and he did that on Keyshawn Nixon. And so I'm expecting for Jamar Chase to be the focal point of this offense, as it was supposed to be when we came into this season. And Joe Flacco found a way to get comfortable in the second half. We watched Zach Taylor open up in the second half against the Green Bay Packers. And for people who didn't watch that game or see that film, that game was extremely close in the fourth quarter to the Green Bay Packers were able to put some distance between themselves and the Cincinnati Bengals. And it was because of Jamar Chase being able to win in one-on-ones. Jamar Chase on third down. And so for me, if this game is going to be close in any way, if the Cincinnati Bengals are going to have any sort of chance, Jamar Chase has to have one of those days we watched him have last year, where he was showing everyone in the world he was the most valuable non-quarterback on the offensive side of the football.
I totally agree with RC, and I think it's necessary because, listen, I think that's the only hope the Cincinnati Bengals have. Their defense isn't great offensively. It is about Jamar Chase because he helps get T. Higgins off and others as well. If he's flowing, then you got to worry about him. Obviously, you got to preoccupy yourself with him, and that leaves opportunities open for other people. And if you're Joe Flacco, who's immobile, you don't have to worry about him scrambling. You're going to really, really need to rely on Jamar Chase and others to step up in order for this to be successful. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, here's my pushback to it. Okay, if DK Metcalf doesn't impact the game the way that he has for most of this season, this game will be close because he's such an integral part of their offense. I talked to the Steelers don't do a ton. They'll put 6 offensive linemen on the field. You'll see that and hear that a ton tonight. Darnell Washington will be the tight end, and they'll do a bunch out of it. But the reason they've been explosive, the reason they've scored points is because DK. So if DK doesn't dominate tonight, this game will be close. Whereas the Bengals still have T. Higgins. Like, Jamar's going to be impactful. He's sensational. But if, like, the Steelers take away Jamar Chase, T. Higgins can still hurt you. T. Higgins can still keep you in the game. Metcalf is the focal point of that offense. And also, being realistic, the Bengals keep it closer. The Bengals find a way to win tonight. Does it really change our prospect on them?
Well, that's true. That's true. And that gets me to another question, which is the obvious one. That was just a warm-up question. Very, very good on both of you, Party. I wanted to test to see if y'all were ready to roll.
We're ready.
Sometimes, man, I don't know.
Thank you.
I don't know about, so I can make sure y'all was ready to roll.
Thank you for testing us and making sure we're TV ready finally, Stephen A.
That's right.
We needed you to come on this show and host in order to make sure we understood
This
that.
is not a date for you to clap back at me with that background of yours. It's not the day to do it, RC.
Looks like
Not the day to do it,
looks
okay?
like a coloring book.
Exactly. Let's go to a bigger question involving the Steelers, because we really need to get to what's on the line for them tonight.
How all in do you want to be if I'm the Steelers? Steelers win tonight, this division's blouses. It's a wrap, okay? If you're the Steelers and you win tonight, you have I think it would be a 3.5 game lead on the division. Do you make a call to the New York Jets and see is Garrett Wilson available? Do you make a call to the Miami Dolphins and see if Jalen Waddle's available? Do you call the Saints and see if Chris Olave is available?
I like those
Because
options. I like those options, Dan.
This team is different than I thought they were going to be. I thought they were a playoff football team. I did.
What did you think?
I thought they were a playoff team. After I've watched them over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and now the defensive line has gotten healthy with Cam and Nate Herbig and TJ, and I watched the way this offense is playing. Last year, you remember I said, this offense can't beat the good football teams. I don't feel the way about this offense this year. This offense can beat the good football teams. And I just laid out who they are on offense. Could you imagine if they really added a number 2 viable wide receiver opposite DK Metcalf?
I've been begging for that.
Or a Waddle? They went tonight division. I want to know how all in will Pittsburgh go to really say, we're making a no question expectation run at winning the Super Bowl.
What about you, RC?
Well, I think the other piece that we have to add to that is just how good Aaron Rodgers has been. And it's not in the numbers, right? This won't be the gaudy Aaron Rodgers numbers that we saw during his 4 MVP seasons, but he's been a steadying force for this offense. He's been a leader on the field. They haven't necessarily conformed, as the other teams have under Aaron Rodgers, to be exactly what he needs them to be or what he wants them to be. He's used his legs in the pocket. He's created extra time. Darnell Washington in the last game against the Cleveland Browns became a force on late leaks and boots and getting him opportunities in one-on-one. DK Metcalf and now Aaron Rodgers developing some chemistry down the field. Aaron Rodgers is the reason, period, that this offense is good enough to beat good football teams. And I love the question that Dan is asking, because the reason they can be all in is because the AFC is not what we thought it would be. We thought the Buffalo Bills would be a better team. You thought the Baltimore Ravens would be a better team. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs have sort of fallen back into the pack. And so now Dan is asking the right question, and he's asking the right question to General Manager Omar Khan. You went out in this offseason, you say, give me DK. You say, give me Jalen Ramsey. You say, give me Aaron Rodgers. We aren't going to draft a quarterback in the first round. So that told me you were all in already. If you win tonight and you're 5-1, and right now you have an opportunity to be the team that hosts every single playoff game at your stadium, go make a play, go make another deal, and get that number 2 wide receiver. Because that doesn't just put you in a situation where you can represent the AFC. You can win a Super Bowl.
RC, I'm begging. I've been begging to ask you this question, my brother. Did the Steelers make a mistake letting go of Mr. Pickens, George Pickens? They did have that number 2. Like, I'm not saying he's a number 2 because the brother's elite. What I'm saying, however, is that that's that second receiver that you need right now that would have been there already. Did they make a mistake letting George Pickens out the door?
So, first, a little background.